All right, welcome back to WMMA now with your host, Chuck Stevenson, coming at you with a special fight review. So we're going to Madison Square Garden in New York City, New York for UFC 268. We're going to the co-main event, Strawweight Championship, the rematch. Rose Namajunas coming in at 10-4, defending against Weili Zhang coming in at 21-2. This, of course, is the rematch from when they first met earlier this year at UFC 261 in April. So first round, Rose stalked early, kept Weili on the outside, a fair number of leg kicks exchanged. Both were cautious to start out the fight. Now, Weili got a body lock takedown at 208 to move to half guard. Rose, however, was able to regain full guard, bringing it high. Then Weili landed some ground and pound, but Rose was able to get back to her feet from where she again stayed outside. Now, both got off some punches and low kicks. Weili slipped off of eating a teep, but no damage done. I saw the first round 10-9 in favor of the challenger, Weili Zhang. Now, second round, both fighters traded on the outside again. Both were looking for openings to land their shots. Pretty smart strategy for at least one of them. Zhang, she worked the inside low kick a lot. Very smart idea against Namajunas. The right hand, or a right hand, seemed to stumble Rose. Now, on replay, people have since saw that it was a accidental clash of heads, but it seemed to be a right hand that seemed to stumble Rose. Now, Rose kicked high. Zhang caught it, was able to use it to take her down. Rose landed a nice up kick from bottom, and then she created space to stand up and stalk Zhang again. Zhang, she tried to trip Rose again, but it was actually Rose who got the takedown, ending the round on top, throwing punches. Now, I had this round a swing round, and we'll get back to this in a minute here, but I had this a swing round. It was a very close round. Third round, both fighters started the round a little bit flatter on their feet. Neither of them were bouncing around quite as much. Again, both fighters stayed outside, picking their shots, working low kicks. Both would sometimes swing big, and every time they swung big, they missed big, and even the commentators caught that. Zhang, she slipped off of a Rose right hand, stood right back up though, and went to the clinch. Then they separated and traded some. Zhang landed a big left hook, got a takedown by Zhang, who got to Rose's back. Rose tried to scramble, but Weili was able to get to mount and land a few shots with seconds to spare. So I gave this round 10-9 to Weili Zhang. Better round for her. So then we get into the championship rounds. Fourth round. Both started trading more heavily. Like, you could actually hear their punches landing. Zhang tripped Rose, then vice versa. Zhang tripped Rose to her butt. Rose from her butt was able to trip Zhang down. Then both right back up to their feet. Now, Weili, she whiffed on a takedown, then was able to drag Rose down, took her back. However, Rose was able to turn inside and took top position in the guard of Weili. There's a couple of scrambles there, but Rose kept the controlling position long enough for me to give the fourth round 10-9 to Rose. Fifth and final round. Both started landing heavier punches again. Rose got a takedown at about 1 minute and 5 seconds. Very nice timed. Ducked under a punch. Got the takedown. Moved to half guard. Started landing some GMP, but Zhang was able to recover full guard. There's a little bit of nice scrambling from both. However, neither was able to really gain ground, and neither really gave any ground. Zhang just did not get off of her back at all. Was unable to create enough space to get off of her back. Only sparse ground and pound from Rose, but she had control for 3 minutes and 55 seconds of the round. Like I said, Weili was just unable to create space and separate, get back to her feet, and had no real offense from bottom. So I gave the fifth round 10-9 to Rose Namajunas. So the fight went to the judges. One judge saw it 48 to 47 for Weili. One judge saw it 49-46 for Rose, which I disagreed with. And the third and final judge saw it 48 to 47 for your winner by split decision, Rose Namajunas. Very close fight. Aside from that bad 49-46, which I disagree with entirely, it was a very close fight. Also, it was a very different fight from their first. 2 times in a row, Rose Namajunas has gone in as a challenger, finished the champion in the first round, went back, rematched the former champion, and it went to the decision, and Rose won the decision both times. It's a very interesting record there. Just interesting pattern there, that Rose gets those early finishes in the first round, and then in a rematch comes a lot closer. It just says a lot. Now, let's talk about that decision, that very contentious decision. Like I said, I thought it could have gone either way. I had the second round as a swing round. If you listen to Weili's corner between the second and third, Coach Eric Albarracin, Captain America there, who coaches Henry Cejudo, the Pitbull brothers, a bunch of really good fighters and champions. Eric Albarracin told her that it was 1-1 after the second round. And you got to remember, swing rounds often go to the champion. So like I said, I thought it could have gone either way. But as soon as Eric Albarracin said 1-1, I was like, wow, if even Weili's corner says it was 1-1, then I got to give that round to Rose. So then that's how you get 48-47 in favor of Rose Namajunas. Now, personally, I said this before the fight, and I'm going to say it again now. This rematch was too soon. It was undeserved, and it was too soon. You can't just put someone back in there immediately against the same person that just knocked them out. Also, Weili just changed some things up in her camp, went to fight ready. And I saw some good things in there from Weili. But it just wasn't enough time to really make those adjustments in the change in camp. Now, I don't have anything against Fight Ready. I think they did a good job with Weili. I think the UFC screwed up in putting Weili back in there too soon. She needed more time, another fight to adjust those camp changes and to clear her head. Champion takes a knockout loss in a title defense. You got to give them a good tune-up fight first. You can't just give them an immediate rematch. It just does not favor the former champion. It usually does not. So she needed more time to really change things up in her camp and also to clear her head, because she was still harping on about, Rose turned the crowd against me, the crowd this, the crowd that, blah, 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 blah. Even Henry Cejudo, who was really helping her out in this camp, told her, listen, you got to accept that you lost. So Weili just needed more time and another fight before this one. Keeping with Weili, she spent too much time outside playing Rose's game. When she got inside, she did good, but she spent way too much time on the outside with a taller, longer fighter playing to that fighter's game. Rose wins when fighters stay outside. Zhang just did not get inside early and often enough. And it's not always easy. I mean, look, not every fighter is going to be Jessica Andrade, who will just come forward and eat punches to get inside. Weili needed to work on more things, on ways to get inside. Now, switching it to Rose, man, she had some bad timing on her high kicks with this one. Maybe she was just trying to go for that finish off of the high kick, like in the first fight. But a couple times, she threw the high kicks, and Weili was able to catch them and either take her down and took her down one time and tripped her, or got her onto her butt another time. So she's got to work on timing those high kicks much better, hiding them behind her punches. Now, let's talk about the cope going on, because there is a lot of copium being ingested from the Zhang fanboys and the Rose haters and the people who are both. I'm talking massive amounts of cope. I'm seeing straight up denial. I'm seeing accusations of robbery. First off, a close fight is never a robbery. I'm seeing denial. I'm seeing accusations of robbery. I'm seeing switches in narrative. I'm seeing people act like, oh, well, it's okay that Weili lost because Rose didn't look that good. Man, that is some massive amounts of cope. I mean, they are inhaling huge tanks of copium to deal with this. Y'all got to learn to get over this, okay? Stop fanboying for one fighter so much. Stop being such ignorant haters on people. You know, you gotta let that hate go from your heart. It just rots you from the inside, okay? I only have one fighter that I have genuine dislike for, and I don't let it get to me that bad. I do not let it get to me as bad as some of the Rose haters, you know, let Rose get to her. And then the Zhang fanboys, they can't take it either. They just can't seem to take it that she lost 2 in a row. But guess what? This is mixed martial arts. Losses happen. So gotta learn to deal with it. On the other hand, the Rose fanboys, stop trying to crown her as the greatest of all time, the GOAT, okay? She's never won more than 3 fights in a row. Y'all need to learn to deal with that too. But as far as, you know, who's acting the more ridiculous, it is the Zhang fanboys and the Rose haters. Y'all need to quit ingesting so much cope. All right, let's talk about things to work on. Let's get back to some more positive things. Let's talk about things to work on. For Namajunas, like I said earlier, she's got to work on timing her kicks better. Zhang was able to take her down couple times from catching kicks. Also, I'd like to see a little bit more of a sense of urgency from Rose. You know, sometimes she's too relaxed in there. And I realize that she likes to, you know, counter sometimes and she likes to dart in and out, but this is a championship fight. Sometimes you've got to show a little bit of sense of urgency earlier on in the fight. You can't, you know, risk losing those early rounds and then hoping that you get the later rounds. For Zhang, like I said, you cannot give up space to taller, longer fighters. You cannot just sit on the outside against taller, longer fighters who know how to use that length, use that reach to their advantage. You spend too much time on the outside against fighters like that, you're going to lose fights. She's got to get inside on those types of fighters more. Also, closed guard. She kept her guard closed in the 4th round. Closed guard loses fights. You stay on the bottom with a closed guard, you're going to lose because you are not doing anything from there. Also, staying on your back loses fights. You cannot stay on your back for 3 minutes and 55 seconds, not throwing up any offense, not throwing ground and pound from the bottom, not hunting for submissions, not looking to create space to get up, not trying to sweep, not looking for reversals. You cannot stay on your back that long and hope to win a round. I realize that she does not spend too much time on her back in fights. That's what training's for. You train in case you're put on your back, you can get back up. You stay on your back, you close your guard, you're going to lose fights. So she's got to open her guard up and she's got to work harder to get back to her feet. Work on shrimping over to the fence, work on getting up, or work on creating space in the middle of the cage to be able to get back up. That's the kind of crap that loses fights for fighters. So that's things to work on. Finally, let's talk about fights to make. Sticking with Weili Zhang. I'd like to see her fight Claudia Gadelha. Okay? That is a bit of a tune-up fight. That is outside the top 5 right now. Zhang just lost 2 in a row. She doesn't need to be facing another top 5 fighter so soon. I believe Gadelha is currently around number 8 for whatever reason. Has not looked good. That is a good tune-up fight that is still within the top 10 and will allow her to make more adjustments in case she decides to stick with Fight Ready for another camp. On the other hand, for Namajunas, there is only one fight that should be made. That is the Carla Esparza rematch. Rose says it's the only fight that makes sense. Esparza says it's the only fight that makes sense, and she wants that title back. Rose wants to regain that, get that loss back from Rose. And guess what? Everything I've seen online says that that's the fight the vast majority of fans want to see. So let's do that fight. The only person who seems against it right now is Dana White for whatever freaking reason. He says there is another option. I'm sorry. The only fight that makes sense right now is Rose versus Namajunas. If you can't sell the rematch of the inaugural title fight, with the loser of that fight now being the champ and the winner of that fight now on the outside trying to regain her belt, what was it, 2014 to 2021? That fight's 6 years in the making, that rematch. If you cannot sell that fight, you have no business promoting fights, okay? You might not like Carla Esparza's style. You might think she's a little bit boring, but guess what? That is still a good fight. And also, we have not seen Rose face a wrestler or grappling-based fighter since Esparza. So that is the fight to make. That is the only fight that makes sense. The rematch, Namajunas versus Esparza 2. So those are my thoughts on this fight. Like I said, it was a close fight. It was a good fight. It wasn't like an absolute edge of your seat fight. It wasn't like an absolute nail biter, super exciting fight, but it was very close and it was a good fight. Like I said, probably could have gone either way, but when you have a swing round like that and you had in round 2, it's going to favor the sitting champion. Sound fanboys, Rose haters, got to get over that cope. Rose fanboys, she's not the GOAT. Stop trying to push that narrative as well. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you liked the video, please give it a like. While you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to WMMA Now, most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.